why Alex Cora lost the series against the Blue Jays for the Boston Red Sox, and more on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's completely free. So you might as well continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every day. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. What's a frustrating series against the Toronto Blue Jays for the Boston Red Sox? Why they can't beat this Blue Jays team, I have absolutely no idea. The Blue Jays and White Sox have been their kryptonites this year. The Red Sox have given those two teams lots of wins. The Blue Jays right now are 5-2 against the Red Sox on the season and 10-14 against everybody else. The White Sox have won 7 games. 7. And what did they do? Win 3 of those against the Red Sox. I mean, it's just so maddening to me that they can't beat these teams. But Alex Cora definitely is to blame for a lot of that in this Blue Jays series. I'm going to be going over that a little bit today, as well as talking about Lucas Giolito's Red Sox debut, which finally came on Wednesday night. And you're going to be hearing from Woo Sox manager Chad Tracy as he joins the show to give a little bit of a prospect update. So let's talk about this series for a second, because things did not go as planned for the Boston Red Sox. They had the chance to sweep the Blue Jays, and they should have in all forms of the word, but they didn't. Because why? They made too many late mistakes. Lost 7-6 on Wednesday night in extra innings, and then lost 4-2 on Thursday night. And the maddening part about Wednesday is that they had a 6-0 lead in that game. 6-0. And they blew it. The entire lead just gets swept away. And part of that was because Alex Cora arguably left Lucas Giolito in the game for too long. In hindsight, obviously, if he goes out there in the 6th inning and he gets 3 outs immediately, then you could say, oh, wow, good for Cora for keeping him in. But he went out there and he gave up back-to-back home runs in the 6th, and he struggled in that inning. But overall, Lucas Giolito looked good in his debut. He threw 6 innings, giving up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. All of those earned runs came on 2 home runs that he gave up. He walked 2 and struck out 7. He threw 90 pitches over the 6 innings, and 61 of those went for strikes. He looked good overall, especially going into the 6th inning. And the biggest thing that stood out to me about Giolito in his opening day for the Red Sox, his first ever Red Sox start, because he's been away from the game for so long, was his fastball hit 96 at one point. And when I watched him in Worcester making his rehab starts, he was hitting about 92 to 93, and he was kind of sitting there, not really fluctuating a whole lot. So in his first start with the Red Sox, that velo getting up to 96 is great. So if you think about that, that could be a huge tool for him moving forward. And if we can get starts like we got from Lucas Giolito in this outing for the rest of the season, that's a massive game changer for the Red Sox rotation, because you have Tanner Houck, who unfortunately has been struggling. You have Walker Buehler, who knows what's going to happen with him. He's getting testing done on his shoulder, which has been bothering him. We don't know what that's going to turn out to be, if he's going to end up on the IL or not. So with circumstances with the starting rotation, Lucas Giolito performing better than people thought he would be a massive game changer. He had a changeup that was also working for him really well, struck out George Springer on 3 pitches, all 3 of those pitches being the changeup. So he was primarily relying on the fastball and the changeup for the majority of the start, and it worked really well for him. And in hindsight, did he stay in a little bit too long? Likely, obviously, for the obvious reason that he gave up the home runs, and clearly the plan backfired of keeping him in. But even so, In your first game back after missing the entirety of the season last year with an injury, you, at the end of the day, don't know what you're going to get from that pitcher. And they need to ease back into things. They're not used to taking on this heavy workload, and their arm isn't used to that because of the fact that they've been away from the game for so long. So you kind of have to ease back into it. And in order to ease back into it, that means having them throw less innings earlier on. So you could argue that, putting him in for the 6th inning was detrimental. And clearly it resulted in bad things happening to the Red Sox after that. But in Alex Cora's defense there, I will say, they had a pretty big lead to work with. So by putting him in the 6th inning, his thought process was probably, okay, if he gives up some runs in this inning, it's okay because we had a big enough lead. That's where the bullpen needs to do its job too. And unfortunately, Garrett Whitlock didn't have it in the game, but how is Alex Cora supposed to know that? He's not. I mean, and Garrett Whitlock's one of your high leverage arms. He's a guy that you use in those situations where you need somebody to go in and take care of business. And the majority of the time, Whitlock does that. Alex Cora doesn't know in advance that he's not going to have it that night. So it's a hard decision to be a manager to make. But because of the lead that they have, that's why I'm inclined to think that Alex Cora kept Giolito in the game in the 6th. Red Sox ended up losing in 10 innings. Justin Slayton gave up the walk-off hit, so he took the loss in the game. But Garrett Whitlock didn't have his best stuff, and that is what it was. But Alex Cora definitely could have had Giolito only pitch 5 innings. He just probably figured because they had a big lead to work with, why not see if he can throw one more inning, start to stretch things out for him a bit. Then Thursday night comes along, and the Red Sox have a 2-0 lead, which 2 runs a lot of times is not a big enough lead, especially against a team that you haven't seemed to be able to beat here early on in the season. So you have a 2-0 lead late, and Tanner Houck throws his best start of the season so far to me. He looked very, very good, pitched basically lights out. And for the Red Sox to ruin that and for him to not be able to get the win in the game is incredibly unfortunate. He threw 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and just 1 earned run that came on a home run. He struck out 6, and his stuff was working for him. His splitter is a deadly pitch that he utilized a lot in this outing, and that was a pitch that he kept going to. He threw 86 pitches, 62 of them for strikes, so he definitely had pretty good command there. No walks. In all rights of the word, he deserved a win, but he didn't get it. Justin Slayton, who took the loss, ended up giving up a deadly 3-run home run to Vlad Jr. that put them up 4-2, and they ultimately won the game on it. Now, in the circumstances here, the Blue Jays had runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and Vlad coming up to the plate. If you think about the analytics of the situation, you want to pitch to Vlad because Anthony Santander is up after him, and Santander has better numbers on paper against right-handed pitchers. Okay, so if I am the Red Sox and I'm thinking about which of those hitters scares me more in a big situation in the game like that, the answer is always going to be Vlad Jr. If you ask any Blue Jays fan who they would rather have up in that situation late in the game, the answer most likely is not Santander. The answer most likely is Vlad. First of all, the fact that his dad is a Hall of Fame baseball player, let's not forget that. So he was always surrounded by his dad dominating baseball and knowing how to play under pressure. And for 2, Vlad is one of the best hitters in the sport. That's why he's making the big money. And that's why the Blue Jays just extended him to this massive contract extension. And that alone shows why he's making that type of money. In that specific instance, when your team is down by 1 run, and you have runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, I don't care who's up after him. You walk Vlad in that situation because you have an open base. You have an open base there, and that person on first base doesn't matter. The person on 3rd is the person who matters. The only way that it matters is if a grand slam is hit. And then in that case, it just is what it is. But you don't let your best hitter beat you. You don't let Vlad be the guy to beat you. You walk him. And then if Santander still beats you, then, oh, well, okay, there's nothing else we could have done. But now the Red Sox have to sit on the fact that they could have walked Vlad and they didn't do everything they could have done. And that's a tough feeling. to have to experience. And also, for the record, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that Santander would not have hit a home run in that situation. Why? Yes, his numbers are better against righties on paper than Vlad's are, but also not everybody has the mental makeup to be able to come through in that situation. And that's what people aren't really thinking about as much here is yes, a lot of baseball is about analytics and numbers. And obviously that's super important, but there is a small part of the game that's not as much about that and is more about circumstances. Who is more likely to come up big in this situation? It's like if Bryce Harper was up at the plate, are you honestly not going to walk him in that situation and take your chances with him? No, you take your chances on the guy who's been struggling overall at the plate this year, Anthony Santander. You pitch to him instead. And if he beats you still, okay, you did everything you could, but not walking Vlad there, that's a managerial mistake on Alex Cora. And Andrew Bailey did go out there for a mound visit before Vlad came up. And I bet the conversation had to do with something along the lines of don't give him a pitch to hit, pitch around him. If we go up 2-0 in the count, then we put him on first base. But they started off 0-2. So they were like, all right, we have, room to work with. Let's see what we can do here. Let's start to kind of attack him. And the thing is, Justin Slayton didn't throw a bad pitch. It was a pretty good pitch, actually, that he threw. A lot of people don't hit that out. Vlad is just a really good hitter, I'm telling you, and he was able to get a ball that was almost in the dirt out of the ballpark. That alone is the reason why you walk Vlad. You don't let him be the guy to beat you. That is terrible. Alex Cora definitely dropped the ball on that. Should have just walked Vlad from the start. Let Santander try to beat you in that situation. I don't care if you have your best pitcher out there. You do not pitch to Vlad. Mind-blowing to me that the Red Sox did. And here we are. And they lost the series. Very disappointing. Absolutely have to bounce back at home. Coming up, though, the Red Sox might have had a frustrating series, but the Worcester Red Sox are certainly still very exciting right now. And coming up, you're going to hear from Woo Sox manager Chad Tracy, who's going to discuss all things related to Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, and a couple other exciting prospects that you might want to hear about. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty as easily as you stream your favorite shows. What if you could jump into your favorite Xbox titles without needing your console in every room? Head to Amazon.com/FireTV Lockdown to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. So gamers, this is 100% for you. I highly recommend you checking it out. As we think about how frustrating of a series this past one against the Blue Jays was for the Red Sox, we can also think about the exciting young talent that we have in the Red Sox system, including guys like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, and a guy who may be more relevant now than we think because of this Walker Buehler news and the unknowns that's coming with him, Hunter Dobbins, a guy who has been called up a couple times for the Red Sox, and he pitched well both times. And he hasn't pitched in a bit for the Woo Sox. And basically, I spoke with Woo Sox manager Chad Tracy and asked him a little bit about Dobbins and why he hasn't been starting for the Woo Sox. And he explained basically that they're trying to save him in case he has to get called up to the major league team this weekend, which again, like I had mentioned before, could be a possibility because of this situation with Walker Buehler and the Red Sox not really knowing with his health. So there is a chance we see Dobbins with the big league club this weekend. And Chad Tracy explained a little bit about that. So take a listen.
Nothing's wrong with him. Just a tentative pushback. He's not even leaving right now, just in case he's needed in the big leagues over the weekend. So Very well could be starting for us this weekend, but wanted to stay away from it today. And with Wink behind him, it made it easy to do because Wink's stretched out to give us length as well. So that's it for now. There's no guarantees about anything happening. It's just letting him know, like, you're not going to start tomorrow. Very good chance you're going to start for us this weekend. But, this happens all the time. Like when you're not certain of something there and you have to adjust because that's our depth. It's like, hey, we're just going to push you back to make sure if there's a need, you're there. And if not, you pitch this weekend. We had an opening on Saturday anyways here. So it may end up being that we just fill an opening on Saturday and Wink gets his own start and go from there. But just be honest with him. Let him know, like, this is what's happening. Like, we'll let you know if anything comes of it. And there's a chance nothing will. At the end of the day, you just basically readjust. Maybe there's one extra side in there just to keep them prepared in case they have to throw on Friday or Saturday. It's not a huge adjustment on their end. You just be honest with them as to what's going on. Because, they're going to want to know, wait, why am I not starting? So you let them know.
So as you can see, there definitely has been conversation around what's going on with Hunter Dobbins. He has been in communication with the Woo Sox and with Chad Tracy, and he knows that there's a possibility he could end up pitching for the big league team. So he's kind of aware of the situation, and Winkowski was pitching for him the other night in Worcester, so it kind of worked out well that they were able to sit him. So maybe he will get called up. Who knows? I also asked Tracy about Marcelo Meyer and the idea of him playing different positions, because it has been reported that he is going to switch between second, third, and shortstop, primarily play shortstop, but they want once a week to have him play third base and once a week play second base. So take a listen to what Tracy had to say about it.
For me right now, he looks more comfortable at second than third. I think he's been fine at all three, but I think he's really trying to, like, cut distance at third base, like on throws, like he fields, and it's just a different angle when you pick it up and kind of look across. So he's sometimes, like, taking extra steps to cut distance. That just takes time to get used to. But the seconds, it's still in the middle of the field, just over here. Yeah. So his comfort playing in the middle carries him over there just fine. So, and obviously he's great at short. So we got to keep exposing him to both of those, like once a week, and let these different plays find him and let him get comfortable with his footwork. If he goes short to second, all of a sudden you're turning double plays blind, right? Like, that's the shortstop, you're coming across, you can see the runner. Second base, now you're coming this way and somebody's bearing down and you can't see. So, like, you're turning double plays in a completely different angle and a little bit more blind. Third base, the internal clock has to be a little different, right? You're kind of playing halfway. Sometimes the ball gets on you, sometimes it's a slow roller, sometimes you get it in plenty of time, but there's more distance to cover, like, so it's and you're at a steeper angle. So it's just things like that you have to get used to when you play shortstop for so long, to your point, like, and your internal clock is just built into you. Now you go over to third and it's closer, but there's different plays. Closer could mean you have to go more time. Other times you have to drop step and you actually have to go faster because the play's driving you away and it's a longer throw. So all of those things take some getting used to. But he's such a good athlete. He'll pick up on that stuff quickly.
Is this the plan for Marcelo generally moving forward? Is
to
just continue to try to have him play? Okay.
Mostly short, right? But we're gonna try every week to get him to second once and get him to third once, just so he continues to get exposure at those two spots.
Yeah, so it's definitely good that Marcelo's getting the exposure to other infield positions, because it's just going to set him up for success later on. It's really just going to make him a more versatile player so that when he does get to the majors, he has a little bit more versatility in his defensive game. So I'm glad that the Woo Sox are experimenting with this and having him play once a week at third and once a week at second. But another cool thing about Marcelo Meyer, and kind of a fun fact, is that he is incredibly close with his dad, and he's always seen his dad as his ultimate coach. So even now to this day, he's constantly going and working with his dad on his swing. And he has been seen, in little videos and stuff, working with his dad. And Chad Tracy touched on that a little bit. So take a listen.
I used to do that constantly. I'd spend hours on the phone with my dad sometimes, God love, and I would be in a slump, and he'd have to just wear my mood, But sometimes you pair up things that your dad's saying to you to help you, whatever, pair it up with what you've been hearing your hitting coaches say, like, oh yeah, like we were doing, like, so anything, like that, when you have people who have been working with you for 20 years, in his case, he's 22, so Marcelo, I imagine, had a bat in his hand when he was like 2, that they can, help talk you through stuff, and like, hey, I've seen this kid as my son, I've seen him go through struggles before, and I've seen him go through this, and just to kind of give him some clarity, and then you put that together with what you're working on here, yeah, for sure. But obviously you're going to your coaches. He was going to his coach. You go to your coaches, but you're going to call for input on the person that's like one of the most impactful people in your life too. You know what I mean? I would be thinking crazy if you wouldn't. So that's a really cool story.
Marcelo Meyer being really close with his dad and leaning on him, I think, is the coolest thing in the world. And I love that he has that kind of support system from him. So I'm going to get you right back to my chat with Blue Sox manager Chad Tracy. But don't forget that Locked On Red Sox is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts Monday through Friday, straight to any podcast feed, all for free. You can follow the show on Twitter at LO_Red Sox, or me on Twitter at Gabby Maljanian, or me on Instagram at Gabby_Maljanian10, where you can stay up to date in all things going on with the team. Make sure you subscribe on any podcast platform. I do appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is awesome. It really will keep you up to date on everything going on with every game that has gone on over the course of that night. So make sure that you check it out wherever you get your podcast next. Welcome back to the show, where I have been chatting with Blue Sox manager Chad Tracy, and he talked a lot about Marcelo Meyer and the plan for him moving forward, and also Hunter Dobbins and why he hasn't been pitching for the Blue Sox. But a player who's a little bit underrated that's in the Red Sox system right now is Corey Rozier, an outfielder who primarily plays right field, but kind of switches around to all the different outfield positions. So he primarily plays in Portland with the Sea Dogs, but Trayce Thompson is currently dealing with an injury, who is a guy who had a really big spring training. If you're not familiar with him, he is Klay Thompson's brother. He had a big spring training for the Red Sox organization. He primarily plays in that spot in Worcester, but since he's injured right now, they called up Rozier, and he's certainly making the most of his time with the Blue Sox right now. And Tracy spoke very highly of him. So take a listen to that.
He's swinging the bat, and when he's in there, he's swinging the bat a lot better than he did a year ago. He got off to he started with us last year, obviously, got off to a really rough start, and had trouble riding the ship before he ended up in a role where he wasn't really playing at all, and went back down to AA just to accrue at bats. So right now he's here. We got Trace still with the knees, getting closer, but like, for now, he's here, and there's opportunity for him to get in the lineup, and the quality of the at-bat is like far better than it was last year. He's especially against righties, but even against lefties. He got 2 hits against the lefty the other day. He struggled against them a lot last year. So the quality of the at-bat is great. He can still run. He's finding his way on base, impacting the game that way, and he's always been a pretty good defender. So he's in a way, way, way better spot than he was at any point last year with us right now. So I think he also knows, like, if we get healthy, there's a chance he could go back, but it's all of it designed around, can we get him at bats? But right now, with some people banged up, like, there's at bats for him against right-handed pitching for us. When he's really at his best, you've seen him, like, it's like those low, like 2-iron line drives that he hits towards the gap and keeps the ball low, and then, but there's power in there. We saw it actually playing Toledo. We saw it in Toledo last year. He hit one up off that light station in right field. There is power in there to the pull side that shows up sometimes. It surprises you. But it's just a matter of getting him to consistently be barreling the baseball. And when he does, he can do good things. So, but yeah, a little bit different setup than he had a year ago.
Good work ethic. That's key in the Boston Red Sox organization, and that is exactly what Corey Rozier displays. And even though he knows that the inevitable could be coming at some point, that he's going to go back down to AA, he doesn't care. He goes out there and gives 100%. So if he eventually gets that opportunity to play in the majors, definitely remember this discussion, and remember that I said he works really hard and he will give 100% effort no matter what. I promise you that. I also asked Chad Tracy what it's been like having Grandal in a Boston Red Sox organization uniform and what it means to have him around some of the younger players. What's it been like having Grandal here, a guy who's kind of been around the game for a while, a veteran? Like, what kind of impact has that had on
It's been great. Like you said, veteran, 15 years, 13 in the big leagues.
Yep.
So much time, exposure to like all the little things and tipping and tells and whatever, and the things that we're doing to try to teach these guys. And you have a player on hand that's very, very intuitive and experienced with that. I've been really impressed with his preparation, how much he cares about the pitchers, and even the work he does next day after he catches a game. He goes and reevaluates everybody that threw, watches his guys, what's their stuff doing, are our own guys tipping. He's looking at everything. So you see the experience just by his behaviors and the way he does things. It's really fun to have that around.
Having a veteran player among a lot of young players is an absolute game changer, and is definitely something that's going to help set these prospects up very well for their futures within the Boston Red Sox organization, including a guy named Roman Anthony, who I did ask Chad Tracy about and kind of what aspects of his game make him such a special player. So check it out. You mentioned Roman Anthony and the quality at bats. Yeah. What is it about his game that you think works so well that's going to translate for him when he gets called up to the majors?
His swing decisions, his ability to swing at the right ones and not swing at the wrong ones. That's probably, the obvious one is like the power and the ability to like hit a ball and fly out to the warning track and all that's great, right? But his ability to like decide regardless if he's facing a righty or a lefty, really tough lefty, and his ability to like check off pitches and just spit on them and take his walk, that piece is what's going to make him. I've said that to somebody before a couple weeks ago. It's not all that power, all the cool stuff. It's the way he manages in that bat and what he decides to swing at. That's what's going to translate.
So my biggest thought about Roman Anthony right now is that he's going to go into the majors with that plate discipline. He's going to have a very good knack for swing selection, knowing what pitches to swing and not swing at. And that's a big thing for a rookie to be able to have right away. And that's something that has made Christian Campbell so successful so far in his time in Major League Baseball, having made the roster from opening day, is that he's very good with plate discipline and he doesn't swing at a lot of pitches that he shouldn't. He definitely struggles with inside pitches still, so that's something I want to see Campbell continue to work on. But Roman has that same knack for knowing what pitches he should and shouldn't swing at. That is the biggest thing that Tracy echoed is going to translate over for him when he eventually gets called up to the majors. And I'm very excited to see him in that form and see him get his opportunity with the Boston Red Sox, because I think he's going to absolutely thrive in the majors. Thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of the day. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.